Alright guys, it is time for another video. Today we're doing the ignition timing on the Sentra, the GA16DE engine. Alright guys, you can see the pink thing that I have hooked up right here. This is let's get in the picture, a timing light. It's a very affordable timing light from Harbor Freight. I believe it was something like $25, something like that. Very affordable. So we're gonna kind of go over the different steps here, because there are quite a few that you need to do in order to get ready to time. So one of the first things, obviously, mostly readily available at the moment for me to talk about, is the timing light. First of all, you have two leads, a positive and negative, that come off the gun, off the light itself. Those have to be obviously red on positive, black on negative, as everything else in this world goes. Alright, now this clip here, this has to go on the number one spark plug, and you want it as close to the plug as possible. Well, obviously it's going to be on the wire, but you want it as close to like the actual spark plug hole that you can get it, because you don't want it all the way over here, because what this does is it measures the firing process. Every time, put it back over here. Every time the spark plug, the number one, fires, as you hold the trigger, obviously you're not going to see anything, but there's a light that comes out right here, and the light flashes every time the spark plug fires. Okay. Every time the cylinder fires. Alright. So you definitely want to make sure you have one of those to do this properly. In one of my other videos, I was talking about you need the distributor bolts loosened so that you're able to move it around just like this, because you're either going to advance or retard the timing based on where like the readings you're getting from the actual timing light and how they line up with there's another spot I'm gonna have to show you guys. That's the next spot, but the light has to line up with with a notch on the crankshaft pulley. And I'm gonna try to shine a light down here. We're actually gonna go underneath the car in a minute. All the markings on the crankshaft pulley have worn away, so what I'm gonna do actually is I have some white out here, and we're going to white out every notch on the crankshaft pulley so that we can see when we shine that light, because if we don't, then we're not going to be able to see a thing, I can guarantee. Alright, so I'm going to try to get this in the best light possible so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Alright, so right down, hold on. Alright, so right down there where the light is shining, there's like a little needle looking thing sticking out. That is going to be where you're going to line up the mark. Is right aligned with this needle here. There we go. That's a good shot of it. And once we get under the car, I'll show you those marks. But as the engine's turning and the number one cylinder is firing, it's going to cause that timing light to go off. And each time the timing light goes off, it should look like like a still frame almost on where the mark lines up with the needle point. So let's get under the car and check it out. Alright guys, I am back, and as you can see I have jacked up the car just a little bit. It's going to make it easier to get my head underneath to show you guys. Alright, so we are gonna need some light. Then I'll tell you where we are. Okay, hold on. I just had the damn thing. Alright, there we go. Alright, so let's see if I can see the marks yet. And alright, so around this edge, right here with the big belt, because you have two belts, one's big, one's small. The big belt on the edge, right here, you're going to have some notches, and actually, they haven't come around yet. So, a good thing to do is to turn over the engine until these notches are right where you can get to them. And it looks like I won't be able to show you guys, I don't think, but it looks like they aren't even close. Okay, so if you just tap the key like you're going to start it, but obviously you don't want to turn it over, because that's going to defeat the purpose of like just slowly moving the crankshaft. So I'm gonna move the crankshaft to where it needs to go, and then I will be back with you guys in just a second. Alright guys, I got it where it needs to be, and I actually accidentally pointed to the wrong spot. Alright, give me a second, I'll put some light, and bam. Alright, so let's see here. Try to get closer. Alright. Look for, this is the crankshaft pulley right here. Keep getting something in the way. Alright, this is the crankshaft pulley, and you'll know it's the crankshaft pulley because it has the huge bolt right here. Alright, now you have the small belt, and you've got the big belt that goes on that part. Now, you can kind of see it. Hopefully it'll auto adjust here. Let's try to get it to auto adjust. Auto focus. Kind of. Well, you can kind of, oh, there we go. Okay. So you can see the 6 notches right here. And you can see that they're kind of white. It's because I've already on a previous occasion put some white out on them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, because I'm not going to be able to do this while holding the phone at the same time and the light, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a white spot on each one of those notches right there, and then that'll allow us to see these spots as they rotate. That way we can make sure that we hit the right notch with the needle. And I'll explain that a little bit more here in just a minute. Let me get those marked up, and then I'll show you what it looks like afterward. Alright guys, I have them marked up, and let me get this in a good spot, and I'll shine the light. There we go. Alright, so you guys can see how much clearer that is. Now, with the white out, it wasn't like 100% like spot on accuracy, but I did hit every single notch there, just maybe a little wide. But there it goes, it focused. But what we're going to talk about now is what each one of those notches actually means. So the top notch right there is -5 degrees before top dead center. And all of these notches are in degrees of top dead center. So first notch, -5. So that means the second notch, let's get my finger in there hopefully. Nope, never mind, we're not going to do that. Alright, so second notch means 0 degrees before top dead center. Third is 5, 10, 15, and 20. So for the GA16DE engines, it doesn't matter if it's manual or automatic. Mine is automatic, but each one is going to be the same, and it's going to be 8 degrees plus or minus 2 degrees before top dead center. So that means a range of 6 to 10 degrees before top dead center. So if that third mark is 5 and the fourth mark is 10, then anywhere in between those two is fine. And this keeps focusing, like getting fuzzy here. Yeah, so anywhere between the third and fourth mark is where you're going to want to be. So I'm going to say if your engine's not going to run right if the ignition timing is too low, or like too slow or too fast. You definitely don't want it too fast, because that's going to mess with your engine. You're going to get a lot of pinging, and you might actually do some damage. So just make sure that you're correct on your position here. Alright, we're going to go back to the top, and we're going to get this started. Alright guys, back. Alright, so to start this off, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the car is warmed up. I just did it. Should be about halfway. When it gets to the well, because when you first start it up and the engine's cold, the idle's going to be higher, and so you want that idle to even out before you start this. So make sure that you start the engine and you let it run until it is warmed up, and then the fans are going to come on. That's when you know that it's warmed up enough. A lot of people like to unplug the fans, because what the manual says is to do it after the fans have turned off. But people unplug the fans so that they don't turn back on, especially when you're working in the compartment like that. You don't want the fans to turn on while you're working. So I have warmed mine up, and then according to the manual, because we're going to go by the manual, it says once it's warmed up, you're going to turn it off. And now we're going to get out of the cart. And if you put yours on if you jacked yours up like I did mine, make sure that you don't put too much weight on the jack. Alright, now your throttle position sensor, that is the thing that you're going to unplug according to the manual. So, easy way to find out. Actually, let me move this out of the way here. Alright, so your throttle position sensor. Wow. Let me get a light real quick. Oh man. Okay. Alright. Trusty light. Alright. Throttle position sensor is always going to be adjacent here. Alright, so this is your throttle cable and your throttle control right here. So if you move adjacent to that, there's a connector back here. I'm gonna try to get a better angle of it. Right. Well, there you go, right there, that connector. So I actually have two. I'm going to unplug one. Well, I might unplug both of them. I don't know. We're gonna find out. And I can't really get a very good angle at that. Maybe like that. Let's try to get better. Right there. Okay. You have two connectors. Probably actually going to just unplug both of them, just to be safe. So I'm gonna unplug those. I'll be right back. Alright, so I just unplugged one. The other one's really hard to get to. Alright, so now that I've unplugged that, I'm actually gonna, since my car is warm, I'm gonna go ahead and unplug the fans. This is not the correct one. That's to the O2 sensor. So we're gonna, alright, that's the correct one right there. That nice dirty one right there. So I'm just gonna grab a hold of the tab and, well, and use two hands, pull it out. Set you guys down right there for just a second. Got a little bit of light. There we go. Alright, so that was fan number one. Remember, you have two fans. The second one, let's see if I can get a good view of it, is right there. That is the second fan. So I'm going to unplug that real quick. Okay, so that took a little bit. Definitely be very careful. Oh, where am I? There it is. Okay. So definitely be very careful that you don't burn yourself on this guy. Yours probably looks different. You probably have a heat shield. It's probably still very hot. Just be very careful that you don't touch it. I've accidentally touched it before. Needless to say, I couldn't feel my finger for a while. Nice little burn. Alright, so with all that being done, make sure you have your piece connected here to the number one spark plug wire. I'll move this. Alright. Positive, negative, and of course your light. This next part, we're going to start the car. I'm going to try to get as good of a view as possible. I don't think it's really going to show up well, but I'm certainly going to try, because that's what this video is all about, right? Alright, so we're going to start the car. Alright. You want to try to keep the wires. Alright, you want to try to keep the wires off of that as well. Alright, so as you can see, every time it fires, the number one cylinder fires, your light's going to light up, just like that. Alright, and now, the spot you want to go to, I'm actually purposely in the dark so that I can see it. easier, just like that. But you're going to aim it as close as you can down by the low end of the the low end of the low pressure line of the AC. There you go. All right, so now I was at the very end of the spectrum there. So I'm just going to advance the timing by turning it back toward the cabin of the vehicle. We'll see if I can. I don't know. Oh. Actually, I guess we're going to take it back the other way. Hold on. We're actually going to retard the timing. That was my fault. Actually, it's a little hard to do, so I'm going to loosen up the bolt there, because it's going to be a very precise. You're going to need to move it barely as you're doing it. I'm trying to get a good spot here. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there we go, just like that. Alright, so obviously we still have a ways to go, because we're on that second to last mark there. We need to be in between the third and the fourth. So we're going to retard the timing even just a little bit more, and I'm going to just, I want to barely, I would actually prefer to go from the other way. So that's at about, that's kind of in between. I think I'm going to just advance it a tiny little bit. I just tapped it. It's loose enough to where I can just tap it. Do a little bit more. There we go. And you want to make sure, I forgot to mention, you want to make sure you're doing this in neutral. Alright, I'm going to do just a tiny bit more. Just barely. I want it on the higher end. So push it back to advance, pull it forward to retard the timing. Hello. The fiance came out to check to see what I was doing. Alright, so right now we're actually back where we need to be. So I'm going to turn off the engine, I'm going to plug everything, or I'm going to plug the throttle position sensor back in, and then we're going to check out the base idle time.